There we go. Go ahead, Kaylee.
No. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Kaylee Lessler. I'm the program coordinator of the East Colorado Small Business Development Center based in Greeley, Colorado. I know I've seen some people registering to join us from out of state, which is awesome. So for those of you that aren't familiar with us, we are a free one-on-one consulting service to people who own a small business or are looking to start or expand one. Um, as a part of that service, we also offer a variety of in-person workshops, but also webinars, which we do a few with Sherry every year, as well as the in-person ones. We do have one coming up in Windsor, Colorado on June 7th, which isn't as far away as it sounds. And that one will be on social media essentials. If you can join us for that one, please do. And otherwise, I will turn it over to Sherry.
All right, awesome. Well, welcome everyone. We are today talking about one of my favorite subjects to talk about in online marketing, and that's leveraging the power of Instagram. And we are going to talk a little bit about Facebook today as well, but we're going to be spending most of our time here on Instagram. If you would like, well, there's a couple of things that I'd like to do. First of all, I'd like to, if you haven't downloaded, we do have a worksheet that goes along with this that's going to go over some of the questions that I have today, including an inventory that we're going to do. If you go to victorycircles.com/Instagram setup, you will see that it's either step 4 or 5. I don't have it right here in front of me, but is the worksheet that you can download. I would love to know in the chat, and that is actually, there's a hot link to that over in the chat if you just want to click on over to that. And I would love to know in the chat also how many people are currently using Instagram. And so I'll kind of, plan on how I talk about it too. I mean, there's a lot I want to go over today, but I'd love to know how much you guys actually use Instagram. So if you're a beginner, let's just say brand new, experienced, let's just use those two. So brand new or experienced, so I'll know how to go, because I really want to talk about some essential basics to begin with. And then I want to move into, because I always like to start at some of the basics around online marketing in general and how it all works together. So let me see what I see over here in the chat. Brand new, never used, beginner, new. So we've got experienced as well. And for you experienced people, I think that you're going to get, I definitely know you're going to get some out of this too. New at using new, so experienced. All right, so we've got a mix here, and it seems to be weighing heavily on the new side. All right, so what I want to do is, first of all, I'll tell you a little bit about me, just a very little bit, because I have so much to share with you today. We've got an hour and a half here together. And what I'd like to say is this. I know that I hear it all the time when I'm on webinars that people say, don't multitask. And I always go, yeah, right, whatever, I'm going to multitask. I am going to share so much with you today that if you do multitask, you will miss a lot of it. So I don't want you to get lost, because we are going to actually, one of the things I'm going to do is pull my phone up on the screen if technology works really well with us here in just a few after I go through the basics. And then I'll actually show you, because Instagram is used primarily on your mobile device. It's where you get the best usage out of it. So we'll be doing that. But who am I? For those of you who have not been on a workshop with me before, I'm Sherry Ruskus, and as the screen shares, I'm a business strategist / business coach. I founded the Victory Circles about 11 years ago. I have been an entrepreneur my entire career, so over 30, almost 35 years now. And why I have moved towards talking about online marketing so much in my work as a small business coach is because it's just the biggest pain point I see with small businesses today is this whole piece of marketing. So we're going to really be talking about that and really making sure that you've got your marketing hat on fully. Talking about Instagram to be sure, but making sure that how you get to Instagram is really helping you with everything else that you do. I love small business. Let me just say that. And I love marketing as well. So here's our agenda. We're going to talk about understanding your why for Instagram, why you need to even come over here to this platform, and how Facebook plays into all of this too. We're going to talk about that a little bit this morning too. What's interesting is when Kaylee and I set this up last year to the programs for this year, we had no idea that Facebook was going to be where it's headed right now with the small business sector. So we'll talk about that. We're going to create your Instagram checklist. So again, if you are just coming on and you haven't downloaded that worksheet, I would highly recommend it so that you can really get this checklist and make sure that you're doing it. So you just would go over to the hot link that's in the chat and download that, and then you can work together with us. I think it's step 4. If you have Instagram on your phone now, and you've either come in through the computer or on your other line, I would recommend that you play with us on Instagram as well. If you haven't even set up your Instagram account, you can do that. I would not do it now. Now is not the time. But again, on that link, which I'll give at the end of the call again, there's steps on how to set up your Instagram account so that you can get that set up. But it is done through your Facebook account because, here's the deal. As much as I love Instagram, yes, they are owned by Facebook. So they do work in conjunction with each other, and we'll talk more about that. And then we'll actually, as I said, we're going to actually do an Instagram demo, and I'm going to actually put my phone up on the screen and we'll work through that together. So that's what we're going to do here in the next hour and a half. Kaylee is here with me on chat, and because I have so much to talk about, I'll try to get to chat as much as I can, but I really want to stay focused on getting this information out, and there's a lot. And I know once I start doing the demo, there's going to be a ton of questions because there usually is. So let's do a little bit of check in. Can I say that? On where you are right now in your marketing confidence, because this all comes to the bottom line of confidence. And I do believe in all the mini workshops that I give, both live and on webinars, that it's hard to figure out where you're going if you don't know where you are. Right? It's that whole paper map versus GPS, and you got to plug in where you are. So while I love Instagram, I've seen incredible results for myself and my clients. I also know that it works hand in hand. It could never just work by itself. And some people do use it by itself, but I think the scariest part about social media today and getting too dependent on any one platform is exactly what's happening with Facebook right now, that they just changed the game on us. And if we didn't have other elements in our marketing game, it would be a problem. So I started email marketing almost 17 years ago, coming up here in June, when I started a piece called The Victory Letter. And I have been doing that every Monday morning for the last 17 years, and it has been a huge component in my business. So I am a huge believer in email marketing. And with that said, it's not beat them till they bleed kind of email marketing. It is email marketing that is very content driven, because you see in the middle of all of this on your screen, it's all about the content that you share on all these networks. And if all you're doing is sharing content about the buy from me aspect, you're not going to get very far. We're all tired. We're tired of people getting into our inboxes and making it all about them and not about us. And because we've got enough to do to try to get through that inbox every day. So I really want you to keep that in mind as you think about the content. And I'm going to be asking you some compelling questions here to think about pulling together this content piece for your Instagram. Because no matter how well you know Instagram, if you don't have good content on there, it doesn't matter. And again, then how does it work over to email marketing? And then finally your website, which if you don't have a place to drive people to, which your website needs to work with that, then you've got a hole in your marketing plan. So really looking at your website. I know that I go to a lot of workshops and I'll ask people live in the room, how many people, if you were to rate your website from 1 to 10, 10 being awesome, couldn't think about a thing to change. 1, it just sucks, and I hate to even give out my email address because I don't like what's up there. Most people I'll get one or two people that'll raise their hand that it's a 10. So, one of the goals as we talk about goals here this morning is to really look at how good your website is and what can you do to make it so that you are happy to give out your website address because you want people to go, and your website is also converting the traffic that goes there. You're paying attention to the traffic and all these areas, right? And really seeing what's working and what's not working. So that's a little bit of our check-in. And now I want to talk about why you want to build an Instagram platform. I believe this formula works in Instagram. This formula for success works in Instagram as well as every other element in your business. And it's really about having the strategic intention of why. Why are you doing that? Then you add in your message, and then your personal style, the who of who you and your business are. And you multiply that by trust. And I believe that trust happens when you're not asking people to constantly buy from you. That makes you a master communicator that people actually want to talk to. And that is also called engagement in today's social media world. And so that's where we want to get. So really think about that as we go through the following information. No matter where you go, there you are. And it's one of the things that I love about Instagram and why it's such a great platform. This picture that I'm sharing on the screen, while it's a little dark at the bottom and you can't see the painted ladies so much, I was just in San Francisco about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I got up early one morning and took a little hike before the sun rose and got this picture. You can see the skyline of San Francisco to the left and the sun coming up on the right. And I'm sharing this with you today because I took that with my phone. It was an element that I had with me and it was easy to do. And one of the things about Instagram is thinking about being in the present. And what am I doing? What's around me right now that might make for a good picture? This past weekend, I was just in San Diego and just the beautiful California. Just I grew up there, and now my kids actually live there, which is kind of ironic. But there's just so many pictures to take, whether the ocean, the sunrises, sunsets, beautiful flowers, different kind of things. And what I want you to do is to think about opening up your eyes a little bit wider. And I actually took a ton of pictures that now my camera, I have a ton of pictures that I constantly have in reserve. If I have an idea or something that I want to share, a famous quotation, something that I've always got plenty of pictures on my phone to do that. And we're going to talk about how you do that here in just a few. So I believe there's 5 C's of what I call a marketing warrior. It's that mindset that really matters. And it's not only in marketing, it's in every aspect of your business, but really here. And the first one is having courage. It's scary to do some of these things online, especially if you've never done them before. It's scary to get on a webinar and nobody can hear your voice, right? It's all those things that it's pushing through. So it's having the courage. You're going to fall down a little bit, but knowing you're going to fall down and getting back up again and having the support around you to give you even more courage. Creativity. One of my favorite things about this platform of Instagram is that I think it's probably one of the most and those who love Pinterest might disagree with me on that, but I think it's one of the most creative platforms on social media today. I love to get on and off it. I can quickly do it, get a little, check out what's going on with other people, maybe do a post, look at what's happening, and we'll do that here together. But it's that creative aspect of it that really fuels me. I follow a lot of photographers. I've gotten really into photography in the last probably 5 years. And so I love watching other photographers to help me get better and better at the photography that I do. So that's the second. The third is customer. I want to encourage you that no matter what you do in any of your marketing is that you're keeping your customers in mind. What can you share on Instagram that's of benefit to your customers? And when I talk about customers, I talk about your past, present, and future customers. Too often we get cited on that future customer side of things. And those are important, but it's our present customers and our past customers who have already put their faith in us that really matter the most. So really keeping your customers in mind. Number 4 is that content I was talking about. It's all about your content. And what I've found over the years, having built a ton of content myself for both myself and my clients, is that it's like a muscle, right? If any of you, we've got the Boulder coming up here in Boulder, Colorado, where I'm based, and a lot of people are starting to get their running game on, right? It's getting those muscles working so that they can run a good race, and it's the same with content. The more you do, the better you get. Content and creativity go hand in hand because they just work so well together. Which brings us right to number 5 of the Marketing Warrior mindset, and that's consistency. Every single one of you listening to my voice right now, if you are not doing your marketing consistently, you're losing. You're losing out on really fully being in the game. And if you think about the people that you follow and the people who have really started to become thought leaders and influencers online and offline as well, they're consistent in their messages. And it isn't about, I'll throw up a post and I'm out of here. It's about being consistent, about going on and engaging with other people, making comments on their posts, and really consistently being a presence that people see. That's why I believe when it comes to Instagram, you should be doing a post every single day. Some people say 2-3 times a day. I'll see people who haven't been on in a long time and all of a sudden they do like 5, 6, 7 posts. Don't be that person. I'll just ask you that, because all of a sudden there's 5, 6, 7 things and then you don't hear from them again for a while. Yes, it's added to their profile page, which we'll talk about, but it's also in the feed, which you don't want to do. So if you can just start right now, for those, especially those of you that are beginners and you're just starting every day, just do some kind of a post, and we'll talk more about what that looks like, but it's the consistency of your efforts in both posts and in stories, which we're going to talk about, that'll make all the difference. So think about those 5 C's as we go through. So why build an Instagram platform? So let's talk about statistics and why it matters. Currently, there is 800 million active users on Instagram all over the globe. 500 million are on it daily. 300 million active stories users. So again, we'll talk about the difference between stories and just posts within your feed. There's 95 million photos shared every day, and there's 25 million businesses on Instagram. All right. Now, Facebook has many more, but again, what I want to say about Facebook is back in January, Facebook made an announcement that they were not going to be promoting businesses that much anymore. If you do advertising with Facebook, they will, of course, take your advertising dollars because that's how they make money. But even boosting posts, those of you that are familiar with Facebook, it was our way to get seen, right? Because a couple of years ago, they took it away that you just had organic feed. Then you had to boost your posts to be seen. Even now, they'll take your money for boosting, which I find very interesting, but you're just not getting the activity anymore. So while people are on Facebook, for business, what I'm seeing is just a real shift with people moving over to the Instagram platform, and it's still at its heyday. I don't have the Facebook figures here, but we're in the billions over on Facebook, right, of people that are on Facebook. So right now is still a really good time to get on Instagram, that it hasn't been that populated yet overall. So keep that in mind as we go through that there's still a chance to get some usernames and that type of thing. All right, demographics, let me just say 38% female, 26% male, 77.6 million US users. So of those users, so there's a lot of, and I actually engage with a lot of people, even though my business is very US based. It's also, I have made some international contacts, which have been really very cool, and have brought some great opportunities my way. So just keep that in mind. 59% are between the ages of 18 and 29. I think we all pretty much know that Instagram was the refuge. Instagram and Snapchat were the refuge for people to go to from Facebook. So it's still very heavy on that 18 to 29 group, but it's shifting so much. It says 33%, 30 to 49, but I am not in any of those age groups, so let me just say. And and I am on it constantly and do all kinds of stuff on Instagram. So other fun facts is that posts with at least one hashtag, and we're going to talk about hashtags today and how they play a critical role in Instagram. And any of you that are on Twitter, those are the two platforms that they really play a strong piece in, is 12.6% more engagement by using a hashtag. And I would say it's even higher. I just did a test this past week where I had a post. It was doing okay, not that great. I added my hashtag, and I didn't add any hashtags. I added my hashtags and everything changed. So it's something to pay attention to. An interesting phenomenon, and we're not going to get into this today, but what's called influencers, Instagram influencers are charging up to $100,000 for a sponsored post. Now, again, that's not going to happen overnight, but I know many people who are charging $300, $500 for a post because of the engagement in both followers and people that they have, engagement that they have with those followers. So we'll go through that here as we go, but it's something you might want to look at in another avenue that has been an unexpected surprise for many people, how that can work. And especially if you have brands that you work with that you like to promote and engage with. All right. I think I'm just checking. All right, so let's move forward. There was a question about the difference between the male and female. Good question. I'm not sure, and I'll have to find that out. But I don't know if that's just unknown. I would just gather the rest are just unknown would be my guesstimate, because usually in these kind of polls, that's what it is.
If I can jump in really quick.
Sure.
Usually those numbers usually indicate like how many people say that they have used Instagram or are currently active on Instagram. So that missing 36% are either people who didn't identify or don't use that particular platform, is usually how those are interpreted.
Great. Thank you so much, Kaylee. Awesome.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, so let's get down to some other facts and figures that are important. So why build an Instagram platform? And if you have downloaded that worksheet, I'd encourage you to write these numbers down. One of my things as a coach that I always do working with clients is goals, right? Goals really, without them, you don't know what you're working towards. So it's looking at, yeah, we probably all would like 100,000 followers to be sure, but what is your current, do you want to get to 500? Do you want to get to 1,000? 10,000 followers is a great first initial goal, and I'll show you what that means as we go. But it's, if you want to be able to, in the stories part of Instagram, be able to, you maybe have seen where people can swipe up to actually get connected to that person's website directly from the stories page. You have to have 10,000 followers in order to do that. So it might be a good first goal. But I think that if you're getting a lot of really good engagement, I've actually seen people doing amazing things with less than 10,000 as well. So keep that in mind. Second item that I have here is live your passion. One of the things that's going to help you to do more on Instagram and to be able to share more is to be able to really share what you're passionate about, depending on your business. I mean, hopefully most of you are very passionate about the business that you do. And I'm a huge believer in doing a content calendar, right? So if you have a content calendar and you know overall what you want to do, but Instagram is very inspirational too. I will say that I find myself, many of my posts that, while I know that Monday we always do something from the victory letter, the rest of the week it's pretty inspired. I actually started doing something recently in my stories that I do the daily word. And so I'll show you that, and you could see how that works, because I'm passionate about words, I'm passionate about writing, but it's looking at what can you promote that you're passionate about, because it'll get you to get more content built. I promise you this. Again, it's that muscle I was talking about. Number 3, is your goal to sell more? And what sales increase would matter in the year ahead? Give it a number, either by new customers, products sold, or sales numbers, right? And how much of that will be influenced by your Instagram, by other components in your business. But really, what is it? I see people just say, I want to sell more. I want more customers. Give it a number. Give it something to work towards. Number 4 is to answer the top 3 questions. This is a great, if you're just still kind of stuck, I don't know what content I want to do, I don't know what people want, what are the top 3 questions you're commonly asked? So thinking about your business, and from the moment someone first starts working with you, or maybe even considers working with you, what are the top 3 questions that you're commonly asked? And you can start building your content around that. Because remember, as with any of marketing, what we're doing is we're taking care of people's pain points. And that usually comes out in a question, right? If I have a pain point, I'm going to ask a question about it. So what are those top questions? And perhaps it's even something that you talk to your team about. If you're working with a team and they have customer interaction as well, is really sitting down. I mean, it makes great content for email marketing, Q&A on your website, etc. So really understanding that. Number 5 is through Instagram, and again, I will show you this more, is encourage people to sign up for your email, right? So with our victory letter, it's why we do that every Monday, is we want to encourage people to sign up for our email. Email is that piece that no matter what happens in the social media game, it's still ours, and it's remaining strong after all these years, because, think even about your own email box and how often you're in that every single day. And so you have one hot link within Instagram that I'm going to show you when I do the live demo. And if you can encourage them to sign up for your email, because you own your email list. If Facebook decides tomorrow to take it all away, not to be a negative person here about this, but if they were to decide to do that, you still have your email list. And so you want to be doing things to help you build that list. All right. Robert is asking, can you link back to your website on Instagram? You have one hot link, and I will show you how that works. If you have less than 10,000 followers in your profile, you have one hot link that you can, so you want to make it an important one. So we'll talk about that, Robert, when we get into the demo. Number 6 of goals is knowledge is viral, right? We can't seem to get enough of it, no matter, if you think about, if you remember way back in the day before we had an online world and how we had to look up information, right? We can't seem to get enough. And that's why it's taking the information that you know and making yourself the platform that people want to go to get the information. It may be step by step, some tricks that a lot of photographers are doing that now. My daughter's a private chef, she does recipes, she does food. There's just a lot of things that you can do. There's challenges are very popular, so that you challenge somebody to a 7-day something, and then you leave the Instagram platform to do it through email from that point. And that's something to remember. It's about leaving the platform. How are you going to encourage them to leave the platform with you? While the platform's really awesome and great, if you can get somebody off the platform with you, they're usually going to you have a much better chance of them becoming a customer, because you have a real 2-way communication happening. Number 7 is social proof. You can do testimonials on your Instagram, like a little quote from your customer. I'll show you an example of that. Who just did that? Somebody just did that this morning. I thought that was very good. I think it was Helen. I'll write this down really quick so I'll remember to show you that one. So, it's really, and the more your platform grows, I mean, it's one of the things that we can't forget about social media is the social proof piece that, yeah, I am who I say I am. One of the things that, as we look at your profile, is to have you really build a strong profile before you start really going out and getting a lot of followers, because as I will show you, it's important that they have something to follow you for. If you have, how many times have you gone to somebody's Instagram profile and they have like 3 posts and you're like, woohoo, that's exciting. You know, it's the social proof and what you've posted and what you're doing that will engage them. You can share both pictures. Hi, Janie. You can share both pictures and videos. Videos you can share, I think it's about 30 seconds in the feed, and in stories, it's about 15 seconds for each segment of the story. Now we're going to just go over, because we only have an hour and a half today, right? So and I don't want to overwhelm you either. So we're not going to get into a lot deeply into stories. I'm just going to overview it, but it's something that you can play around with. And in all of this, if any of you have a 20-year-old, a 20-something person in your life, you know, hang out with them and ask them to help you with this, because they are great at this stuff, right? It's like they were born with a computer in their hand. And many of them were, I think, actually at this point. Brand engagement. So here's another piece. As you start to follow other people, start to follow the brands that matter to you, right? So who are the brands that you are important to your business, that you can start building relationships with them? Because again, it's not all about who follows you, it's also about who you follow. So what are the brands that matter to your business that you can start following and creating engagement, right? It's leaving comments on their site and really connecting with them. And then finally, that consistency word is coming up again. I could not leave this out of the goals, is just making Instagram a habit. Whether it's, you know, sometimes it's a little bit too much of a habit for me. I will confess that if I'm feeling a little bored or whatever, which doesn't happen too often, but you know, you're sitting in a waiting room or something, I'm going to check my Instagram just because it is a habit. Or, you know, like I said, I do my word of the day now, and I do that every morning religiously. It's what I do before I fully get. It's actually part of my meditation practice, if that sounds crazy at all, but that's what I do. And really looking at how many hours a week you use it. I know everybody's busy. It's one more thing to do of the many hats that you wear. It's just deciding if you're going to make it a habit. If you are just over the top and there's no way that you're going to make it a habit, then hire it out. Get somebody to do it for you. And I have a lot of words of wisdom around that if you ever want to drop me a line. But to be careful about jobbing it out. But you can do that. But it needs to be a habit, again, to get that engagement going. All right. So any other questions around that before we jump into, now I have to do a little, hang on just a second, because the power of technology is always something that, okay. So I am going to actually be sharing my phone with you. And you see this code 0142. Okay. All right. If somebody, can you guys, let me just look over here to see if, just move this over a little bit. Hopefully you guys can see this. Let me switch over to this screen. You can. Okay, great. Let me just get off of this slide. Hold on. So we don't have all that background noise. Okay. Dun, da, da, da. See, technology, it's an amazing thing. Okay. So here we are at Instagram, and this is actually live. Yes.
So currently I just see a tall white rectangle where I think your phone's supposed to be.
Okay. Are you on Chrome?
Yep.
You are. All right. I only see a tall white, Pam only sees a tall white box. Well, that is a bummer. All right, let me try something else. Okay, everybody's says getting around, they see that, but you just don't see the phone. Okay, so I'm going to try one other thing here. When in doubt, keep trying. I'm going to try to share my screen do it this way. There's content playing, yes. Okay. Share. All right. Can you see it now?
Yes, I can. Woohoo!
Ah, she breathes again. Okay. Great. All right. So there we go. Let me just move this over and there we go. All right. So as you can see, I want to keep my chat box up so you guys will see a little bit of the background there, but I think we'll just leave it at that because I want you to see, I want to be able to see your chat. Oh, no, my phone just went quiet. Okay. You're going to see every element of my phone. Okay. All right. So let's move over to profile. And again, for those of you who are on Instagram, if you want to go to your phones and you're not on the phone talking to me, or you are able to do it. Oh, I always want to push the button there. Okay. So here is my profile. And here is, you can have up to 5 actually Instagram accounts if you had different brands or whatever. I just noticed this morning I had set up one from our Pooch. We actually, our dog, we set one up because we were having fun, but it's disappeared for some reason. So, but you can actually have several ones. Let's go across. So here's what I want to do. I just really want to get into the basics of this from a profile perspective. So moving right down here, let's go into, this shows how many posts I've done. This shows how many followers I currently have. And of course, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I would love it. I am Victory Girl on Instagram, and I would love it if you would follow me. That's the name of the game. And let's go into, I'm going to click on Edit Profile so you can see what can be done if you, I keep wanting to click it on the screen. I have to click it on the phone itself. Okay. Can't get to this page, shows everyone else. At least I'm not sure what that means. I can't get to this page. It should be showing up on your screen. Oh, never mind, I found it. Okay, great. So I've just, again, I'm going to cancel this and go back. And I'm going to edit. I'm going right here in the middle to edit profile. And now I can change my name. I can just be Victory Girl, but I like having, I highly recommend if you're using a username such as Victory Girl, which is not my name. And if somebody doesn't know me by Victory Girl, they know me by Sherry Ruskus, and they're looking for me on Instagram, they're not going to find me. So you could put your name up here. We just recently, we're doing a little Victory Girl promo, so we put it in name, and I've got Sherry Ruskus is it fully written up here. And then here's my username. If ever along the way you want to change your username, you can. Like when we were just looking for Luna, our dog, for her own Instagram account, we tried all kinds of things. And what will happen is when you just type in the username and then just, hit the return button, it will tell you whether it's available or not. It will immediately tell you whether it's available. There's still quite a few that are available. There's still some that aren't. There's a lot of rule of thumb around, what should I do? Should I do underscore? I'm not a big fan of underscores personally. I think they just kind of take away from whatever you're doing. So I would recommend from my perspective to just try to find something short, sweet, that really, if you can use your, if your name is what you want to use and it's available, grab it. So it's just, but try not to go, Sherry 12345. Really think about it from a professional perspective and a branding perspective and what you want it to be. Then the next piece here, this is your hot link, right? So this is where you can, so we have it going over to our Victory Letter page, right? Because this is our sign up for our newsletter, which we don't call a newsletter, but that's another discussion for another day. But they can get to the Victory Letter from here, and we send, that's our hot link that we've decided was important to us at this time, and it changes. It depends on what you're doing. So Kathy, great question. Kathy's asking me, if you change your username, do you lose current followers? No, your followers stay with you. However, I would be very cautious about, oh, you know what? I don't like this name anymore. I'm going to change it. If you have it on other things, right? Because sometimes we've got our branding out and about on other things, and you may not be able to get it back. I mean, I think about, sometimes it makes me nervous that Victory Girl, because I love my username of Victory Girl. I've been using it on Twitter for many, many years. And like, if I lost that, I would be bummed. So what if somebody else grabs it after you take it away, you can't get it back if somebody else has it. So I would say that's the biggest thing. But your followers stay here on this profile with you. So yeah, you don't have to worry about losing them. All right, so, and then you can do a little bio, right? So we have this theme right now, Together We Can, and then, a reminder to tap on the hot link to, and I'll show you when we go back in the profile how that works together. But we've used just a little emoji, little hand, and if you can use emojis, all the better. One of the things I'll say with the little, all these little emojis that we all have on our phones or that you should have on your phone anyway, they're great attractors. Both those and hashtags are your friend and Instagram, so I'd highly recommend using that. And then it gives you information about your page. This is where you connect to Facebook. If I go over here, it says that it's currently connected to my Facebook business page. It tells me, and if I want to change that, it will allow me to. Now here's the story, and I get asked this a lot. Oops, I keep wanting to do that. Is that you have to, if you want an Instagram business account, and you can change back and forth on Instagram from personal to business. So like if you set it up as personal, you can change it over in this page area right here. It'll walk you through the whole thing. It'll allow you to do that. But you have to connect it to a Facebook business page. Many people say to me right now, like, should I even do a Facebook business page at this point? Because if they're not even promoting them, my answer is yes. And this is one of the main reasons that you do, because because then you can have, and I'll show you here in a few why it really is beneficial to have a business page versus a personal page. And a lot of it's reporting and some other things. So you want to be able to do that. So to have a business page to send, to connect with your Instagram is really important. There's category here, so you can go in here and it will give you a choice of different categories. Not a huge thing, like I never call myself a business consultant, but that's really the only choice that I had. Of course, that category button isn't even there if it's a personal page. You can also do under business contact options, and with that, you can put your phone and address, your physical address. I do not do that on mine because I am not really at a physical address that I want people to know about. I run my business from my home, and I'm still the whole phone thing. I'm not too keen on it. So, and we kind of play around with it, but I do have my email address. So somebody can directly email me from my Instagram page. Lisa's asking, where do you see if you have a business or personal account? Right here. So again, I want to review that again. Oh, gosh. So if you go down here to page, and if you then click on that page, just where your name is, you'll see whatever image comes up here. It will tell you you'll know whether it's your personal page or your business page. Right, so if it's the image that's currently on your personal Facebook account, it's going to come up right there. Okay, I hope that helps, Lisa, and everybody, because again, I know that's one of the things that people ask me a lot. So there's that. So there's a business.
One more question above that.
Yes, Kaylee.
Mm-hmm. So it's what is the reason to use your business page rather than a personal one?
I will show you. Great question, Janie. Thank you. All right. So the real big question is the stats. So if you look at it, here's another way to answer Lisa's question about whether it's a personal page or a business page. If you're on your main profile page, which we are right now, if you look up here, you will see this little graph. If it's a personal page, you won't see that. So if you just click on that, it gives you stats. It tells you activity, what activity has been happening and what days of the weeks. So that's the thing. And you can do it by activity, by content. So you can actually, I keep trying to do this. You can actually see which content has had the most engagement. So here from my past week, these are the 3 that have gotten the most engagement. Recently just went to California, as I said, so there's a lot in there. And it will share 2 of my stories, what has had the most engagement. And because we're only on Tuesday, that's surprising, and because that's my current story, and I know yesterday was more, so I have to question that a little bit. And then if you're doing promotions through Instagram too, your results from your promotions, and we don't have any current promotions going on, so I don't have anything there, but your current promotions would show up there as well. And then it gives you audience demographic information. So it shows me of my 1,900 followers right now that, and the men followers are creeping up on the women. I've been pretty heavy on the women's side, but my men followers, I always look at this and go, wow. And then it says the age group. It'll tell you the age group, again, between women and men. And you can, if I wanted to break it down and say of women, how many are, what's the age group? Or if I wanted to go over to men, I can do the men. So there is that. And then the other thing is it gives you some geographic. I mean, apparently Boulder's where I am hanging out in cities. It was just interesting, London. You never know where, yeah. Sometimes New York shows up, and then I can do it over in countries too. And United States, obviously a little heavier, but then there's some other countries as well that shows up in my profile. It will also tell you time of day. So if you're going like, when's the best time of day? And it looks for me, and I can scroll through the days of the week on that too. So if I wanted to see on Wednesdays or Thursdays, but it's pretty even, it looks like for me, even on the weekends, that 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. time frame, which is interesting because it's a little bit different than Facebook. So it's just really knowing your stats. And if I go over to days, it'll just tell me which days, and I can see that, again, for me, they're pretty even keel. And, it even has this thing down here of why do these matter, and it'll give you that definition of that too. And I think Instagram's pretty good about giving you definitions when you're starting to go, what the heck? Why do I care? So that is that. Always to go back, the little less than key will get you back to where you need to go. It's either at the top or at the bottom of the screen. And so that's an answer to that question. Deborah's asking, how do you know, again, if you have a personal Instagram? Okay, again, if you don't see this graph, it's one way to look at it. The other way is to go to edit your profile and to go look and see how you're connected to Facebook. If you're connected to your personal page on Facebook, it's a personal Instagram account. If you're connected to your business page on Facebook, it is a business account. All right. Okay, all right, so profile. So this is, and again, this is my view. My followers don't necessarily see, they don't see any of the stats or any of that, of course. They see, and it was a little different, as you can see. So when we were filling out that information, here's the tap to read my latest victory letter. They can click on that. So really make it interactive. And again, this is the golden goose right here. That is your one hot link if you have less than 10,000 followers. And when we get to stories, I'll show you the rest. So then the key is to make your profile engaging. So This is my profile. And, I do a lot of what should you be putting on your profile? I do a lot of nature pictures because I just love nature and it's just who I am. But I'll do let me go to this one right here. I'm going to go. This was just from a week ago, Monday's victory letter. And, I talked about what we were talking about vulnerability in that victory letter. And so, that's where I've got that. And one thing that's really important, if you want somebody to go to your profile, don't just say, go to my profile, or don't put a URL in your post itself, because we won't remember that post. When we click over to look at that, we won't remember it. But what you can do, if you use the @ and your URL for, or excuse me, your username for Instagram. So see right here at the bottom of this post, a link in my profile @VictoryGirl. If I click onto that, it automatically takes them to my profile page. That is so huge. It's such a little thing and it's so huge. So remember, again, I'm going to go back to this post, but I can't stress enough, anytime you want somebody to go to your profile page, put @ and your username, and that'll give them a hot link within your feed to go to your profile page. Okay. All right. So there we go. And I've got, 700 and something, and it's playing around. I mean, this is the thing, as with any content that you're building. It's interesting. Sometimes when I do people, I get a lot. Sometimes when I do people, I don't get a lot. I was just in California at sadly a family funeral, and my sisters, my niece and my daughter. And, I've gotten a lot of feedback and things, and you never know what's going to happen. And that's why I would say see what happens. What I would definitely say to be careful of, unless you're well known by people, I see people making the mistake of putting their picture too much all over their Instagram profile. And that's great if you're Reese Witherspoon or someone along those lines. But if you're not that well known, just a picture of you over and over and over again can be boring to someone who doesn't know who you are. So you want your pictures to be engaging. Again, because I really love photography, and when I get a picture like this one, it's something I really want to share. And it's usually what I get a lot of my engagement over, is something like this. So I would really encourage you to think about that when you're posting something. Make sure it's not a blurry picture, that it's a good picture. And again, and we're gonna do a picture before we say goodbye here today. So I'll show you how to actually do the post itself. But and then as far as the post, and I get asked this question a lot, how long should it be? It can be everything from, I'll do a really snippet of 3 words to this one, as you can see, is really long. And this one was long for me because we had a couple of deaths in our family, and I just really wanted to talk about it. This sorry, I am just reading about my uncle. My uncle just passed away too, and I just read about this word grace, and it came up in the funeral, totally aligned with this. Oh my gosh. Anyway, sorry. These are really compelling things that you want to share with others. And I guess that's what I really want to say in sharing this information with you. So it's looking through your post. And again, sometimes it's surprising, and sometimes I did one here of my son, Travis, and, had a nice amount of engagement, wished him a happy birthday. Again, you can see how I used a lot of Bitmojis and all of that. I can't remember in this one if I did, because I want to talk about hashtags, and I need to get to one where I actually used hashtags. So let me get back to this. This is so interesting. Going between my phone and I did not use hashtags. So I need to get better about my hashtags. That's my little lesson right now. that I'm reminding myself. So here's one. I mean, here's a picture of a robin. It was a victory letter reminder, but you know, it was a robin outside the tree of my window one day that I took a picture of. So it's really is pretty amazing what you can do. But this one is a much longer one. And what I did in this one is here's the hashtags. So let's just talk about hashtags because they're so important. So with every post you do, if you're, you know, I am totally transparent in these calls because you're seeing exactly what's on my phone. And Lisa, with you, I'll answer your question with this on how many. You can use up to 30 hashtags. Here's the key to using hashtags. You want to do your hashtags in a comment. You do not want to do your hashtags in your post. So let me go back to this post and I'll show you why. So like in this post right now, I said a lot. I had a lot to say. Now, if I would have put a bunch of hashtags right here, it would have made it look really crowded. I might have lost my message that I'm trying to get across. You can see the 5 C's are there that I shared with you earlier. And you can lose your message with the hashtags because the hashtags are important, but they're not so important that your message isn't being heard either because so you can use, sometimes I'll use one hashtag if I just want to really just focus on a hashtag. When I'm doing Luna's page, I'll use 1 or 2 hashtags, you know, Labs of Instagram, I've been using a lot with her page. But that's where you want to go. So once you make a post, you would go into comments, and I'll show you that when we actually do a post here in a few. But you would go into your comments, and then you would actually come down here, and in the comments you will see that it's all my hashtags. So what's the deal with hashtags? Hashtags are not owned by anybody. They're just out there in the ether, right? And what you can do, here's my recommendation when you say, what hashtag should I be using? Number 1, I would use your business name. I would use I would use if you have any kind of branding. As you can see here, I've got my business name, I've got my name, empowerment, victory, things that words that are important to me. But I also then went into, I just Googled, you know, top hashtags for business coach, right? So some things came up like hashtag business coach, lifestyle business coach, you know, some other words that were important to me, etc. So you really want to figure out what your hashtags are. And then here's the little secret, because if you have to do this every time you do a post, it'd make you a little crazy, to say the least. So what I do is this. Well, you know what I'll do? I'll wait until, for time's sake, until I actually do a post, and I'll show you how I do it. But I actually use notes on my phone, and I copy and I paste them, is basically what I do. And sometimes I'll add or delete, like I just noticed wellness is on this one because it was a little bit more about wellness, so I might add that because it's not normally a hashtag that I use. But play around with hashtags and, you know, see what matters to you and what doesn't. And again, we'll go through this a little bit more as we go through. Elizabeth has a question. It's my understanding that hashtags in the post get greater organic reach than hashtags in the comment, but it's important to space the hashtag below the post so it's not being seen without a read more click, right? And that's why it's really why, and you saw in that where I had the 5. I have not heard that it gets less in the post, Elizabeth, so that's a very good question, and I will investigate that. I have not heard that, but I will check it out. Less in post. Write this down. But it just feels better, looks better, and again, I've tested it just putting it into comments, and I find it works just great. So I would do that. And again, the one thing about moving it down so it's not showing up even in the comments, and that's where you would put these little periods here so that it just wraps it down, moves it down, because otherwise sometimes a comment can show in your post right away too. So you're kind of defeating the purpose of it. All right, let's go back to our profile page. The other thing that you will see, which we're not going to get into today because I don't have the time, because I just want to briefly, but you can take your stories, which we'll talk about here in just a sec, and you can take snippets of your stories. So like I was telling you that I do the daily word, and I can go in here and somebody can look through, there's my sweet Luna. Somebody can go through here and look at what some of my stories have been. That I've decided on. You can actually go in and pick them out and use them. So that's something that you can do. You know, I do a lot of stuff around the morning because I am fully into morning momentum meditation, etc. So I like to do a lot of stuff around that. So I have a whole thing on that. So that's something, again, and this is stuff that you pull. This is a little advanced, so I wouldn't worry about it at this moment in time, but just know when you see that stuff, that's what it's there for. All right, let's go to, let's get back into this piece, and let's move down for now. I want to move down to the bottom so you can just feel your way around Instagram. You know, I definitely, before we leave, I want you to feel comfortable with it. If you see at the very bottom of my phone are these buttons, which you will use a lot. And quickly, I'll answer Tara's question that how long do stories stay active? Stories came to be because of Snapchat, right? They were competing head on with Snapchat, or Snapchat disappears in 24 hours. And it's the same with stories, but you can save your stories so that you can put them into that those profile pics, and it's called something. And if somebody knows what it is, please put it, because it's not in my head right now. All right, Lisa lost me. Okay. So stories, let's talk about stories. Let me just show you stories. You know what the heck I'm talking about. All right, so there's two avenues to go down, and Lisa, hopefully this will, oh, you lost me completely, not just lost me in the feed. Okay, it might be your internet connection, Lisa. I'm just thinking if nobody else is losing me. So here is a beautiful post. There's two avenues to go down when you're on Instagram. You can go down your feed, right? And just see all what's the posts that are going on in your Instagram, or you can come up here to stories. This is what I've been talking about in stories. Here's my story right here. And if I hadn't done anything in the last 24 hours, which you guys might be seeing on your phone, you'd have a little plus sign right here, which means you need to click on that to add to your story. Because I have done a post this morning, I don't have that plus sign. If I wanted to add something after I've already added something within a 24-hour period, I would come up to this little camera up here, and I would click on here, and that's where you see my, oh, look at the phone and the phone and the phone. You would see that, okay? But I do have something in my story, and I have this today's word, self-affirmation, which I have there. And it's just something that comes on pretty quick. You can, if you want to hold your thumb, you guys can't see I'm doing this, but I'm actually holding my thumb on the picture to stop it, because it just comes up really quickly, and then it goes away. All right, and you'll see on the very top up here how it's disappearing. Now, what's cool about stories, and why I encourage you to get your profile down, understand the feed first, then move into stories. But what makes stories so powerful is that I'm following 500 and something people, right? But if you look at stories, I've probably got about 20 people that are up here in stories, or maybe 30. It's getting more and more popular, so it is coming up more. So what happens is when you post to a story, again, it's going to disappear in 24 hours. And the people who are killing it on stories are people like Yoga Girl right here, who is on it every single day. I mean, I know more about Yoga Girl's life than I probably should know, and me and 2 million other people that are currently following her. So I'm going to click on her. Oops, okay, I'm going to click on her on my phone. And I'm basically going through, you can either do 15-second videos, or and there she is, you know, sharing something. She's currently on a European tour, which she's sharing with us. But if you look up here on these lines, these are how many things are in her story right now, just that she's put up today. So she is extremely engaged in sharing stories, which is part of what her popularity has been. And this is a woman who owns a yoga studio in Aruba. She's been on um, uh, Instagram for she's been on about 5 years, which is, she got in early on, which has helped her a lot, but she's also very engaged, very brand oriented, which Deborah that will answer your question again. As a business, how do we know who to follow? Again, it's people you know, like, trust, yourself, and other brands that you really want to follow, right? Or you can go into hashtags. It's another way. I'll show you that here in a sec, but you can go into hashtags and see, you can find other people in hashtags as well. So, but let me go ahead. You can't see I'm doing this, but I'm actually swiping to the left with my finger. Goodbye, yoga girl. And I'm going to the next person who's in my story feed, which is Mandy Moore. I love Mandy Moore. And it's really amazing. I mean, this is Sarah Blakely. And again, it just depends on how much I've watched or how much she's got in the last 24 hours. This is the woman who founded Spanx. She's very entertaining, but she does a great, if sound was on, you could hear she's actually talking. She's got something on her mind today. Oh, she just paid $18 for a bottle of water. Yeah. So you can actually talk, or you can also put verbiage down here too. And again, your emojis as well. So, and if I just want to get out of stories, I just hit the X up here and boom, I'm out of stories. So, so again, it's really those people and who's up here in stories? It's only people that I follow. If somebody is bugging me in their stories, I just did it the other day. Someone was just getting pretty lewd in their stories, and I had it, and I just unfollowed them. So you want to be careful about, that you're engaging in stories, because people will unfollow you so that you're not part of their stories. Okay. Any questions around that? Kaylee says follow other. Okay, yeah, thanks, Kaylee. Yeah, great answer in the chat. For the SBDC, she's saying that they follow social media and other SBDCs, Chamber of Commerce, small businesses, again, and your customers. Always follow your customers. Great place, whether it's Instagram or Twitter, etc. You really want to do that. All right, so any questions around, basic questions around stories? Because again, I know there's a lot. Stories is really a little more intermediate, but that's something to keep in mind. All right, let's talk about the search explore function. I want to get into this. So down at the very bottom, again, next to your home, and anytime you're feeling lost, you're in the middle of a bunch of different things, this is your home, right? That little home down there, that little black home is your home. So if you click on that, it's going to take you home. I'm clicking on it, and it's going to bring me back to who's most current on my stories, etc. So that's your home button. So anytime you get lost, go home. Right? That's the story we've always liked. Then there is the search key. The little magnifying glass is the search key. And if you click on that, it's going to give you a lot. It's going to overwhelm you perhaps sometimes. But right now, it's telling you what's trending on Instagram. It's going to tell you, we haven't even talked about live yet, but you can also go into stories if you have a live post. Like these are the top live, which means you're live and it isn't something you've recorded, you've actually gone live on it. But another way to look at other people that you're following, Instagram starts to see the things you like. It sees I like gardening. It sees that I like, many different things along the way, and it will share. I don't know about that one, but food, whatever it is that you're using a lot, it will, bring you towards things that it thinks you might be interested in or that's trending. So there's that piece of it. What's really cool about using the search piece is that if you aren't getting, it's a great way to search for content. So like I'm going to go to this picture right here. I just clicked on this top picture, because there's a lot of interior design, right? And which I love. This picture currently has 1,600 likes, almost 1,700 likes. But let's say I really love this picture, okay? I can share this on my Instagram post as my content. With that said, do not do it without giving full credit to whoever was the original of this. If it's this Christine Stein, you would give her credit for it, by saying, "Love this child's room," and give credit at, again, the at sign at underscore Christine Stein. If she was in fact the person who did it, now she might have been sharing it from someone else, so you just want to look into her post and make sure, but it looks like Christine does a lot with this. But it's a great way to start connecting with other people by sharing their stuff on your profile. And I've connected with other photographers by sharing great pictures of theirs. And I'll show you, let me just go back 1 second. I'm going to go back to my home key to get back to home. I'm going to go into my profile over here. Just by hitting my profile key on the bottom right, goes into my profile. And I'm going to just show you really quick. Hopefully I can find it super quick. I will, like this one. Here's an example of someone is one of the photographers I share, that I love his photography, and I've done it a couple of times now. But I'm gonna, if you look right here, I've put my own spin on it because I was doing 5 Days of Love, little theme I decided to do around Valentine's Day, and right here you can see that I gave Andrew Studer credit for it by doing an @ sign and his Instagram post. But that's what you want to do. You do not want to just rip people off, right? We never want to do that. We all work hard for our posts, so to get credit for it is really important. So I would just really, that's a way to do that. Going back to hashtags for 1 second, here's one where I just wanted to say get creative, and I just did one hashtag like that within my post. So that's the kind of stuff if you want to get more attention to a particular hashtag. All right. So I'm going to go back to my search key to take us back. I went a little off track there, but I just wanted to show that to you. I'm going to go back to my back arrow here, and but if I want to search for someone in particular, I can go to the very top of the screen here, where my arrow is, and I'm just going to put in, let's say, I'll just put in my daughter, because I love her. So here's my daughter, who does quite well, I have to say, on Instagram. She's a private chef, and she's got, what, 8,100 followers, but she does a lot of food pictures, right? So if I wanted to share something of hers, I could, and, but again, anybody that you want to find, you can just put in their name and find that. I'm going to go back, and and let's say, and these are all the people I follow that are coming up, suggesting, it will suggest, but I want to go back to the, cancel that, go back to the search thing. Let's say if I want to see how, I want to find the hashtag, I'm interested in a hashtag, let's do, I don't know, let's just do business coach. Let's see what comes up under, I'm thinking about using business coach. So here's an interesting thing about hashtags as this comes up. Under business itself are 30 million posts under the word hashtag business. Now you might think that's a good one to use because there's 30 million people that use that post. Unfortunately, it's harder for you to get found within that hashtag amongst 30 million other posts than if you went down and you saw, let's say businesswoman was just 1 million posts. That might be something that's more doable, or even business life. So if you click on that post itself, it's going to show me, which you can now start actually following hashtags. This is fairly new in the last few months that you can follow a hashtag. So if you have a hashtag that's really near and dear to your heart and important, you can see what's going on in that hashtag on a regular basis. Now, again, like if it was something that was a 30 million post, like it would overwhelm you. So you want to be careful about following those hashtags because all of these would fall into your feed at that point. But again, then you can look through these hashtags and say, oh, if I use something, will it show up there? And, or the other thing is to say, wow, look at this. What is your motivation today? That's a beautiful picture. That's really cool. I think I'm going to comment on that. So you could then just go in and comment on that hashtag. And this is how you meet other people. It's a great way to go in to meet people and just go, I'm going to hit the comment, which is the little balloon right there. And I'm going to say, oops, I keep coming to type on my computer. Beautiful picture and thought. And I always like to do a little Bitmoji, and I'll do a little heart and maybe gratitude, right? And so I put that in there. I'm going to post it. And now this person who posted that, who knows what's going to happen? And that's how, they've only had 10 comments out of, oops, didn't want to do that. If I go back, they've had 33 likes. I mean, it hasn't been a huge, but again, there's not a lot of noise in the comments. So this person just see how I show up in their feed now. It's just looking at that. And that's where it's so important to have engagement, that you're not just coming onto your Instagram, posting and leaving, that you're really starting to build a community. And, like I've said before, I've met people from all over the world. And so that's really cool. All right. So without further ado, I want to do a post. So if I want to we've done the search, and there's a lot of other things to investigate. There's the whole story feed up here within the search key, all of that. Again, it's what Instagram has decided to be here, other than what you go up here and search for yourself. But to actually do a new post, at the very bottom, you will see that there's a little plus sign. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just click that. And now it comes up with, it asks me if I want to do it in my library, if I want to take a photo, or I want to do a video right now. So I'm going to just go into my library, and I am going to grab a picture quickly. Let's just do my daughter again. I'll make her a theme for today. She'd love that. So I'm going to go up here. So there it is. I've got that picture that I want to use, and I could just go to next, right? So I go to next, top right-hand corner, and then it gives me all these filter choices, and I can, because her face is a little dark in that picture, so I could try to lighten it up. If I can find a filter that, and it's just really finding that filter that might work a little bit better because it's a dark picture. So maybe that one's the one. So I would do that, and then I just hit next again up at the top right-hand corner, and this is where I write my caption. I'll just put so sweet, period. And maybe I'll use the hashtag love my daughter. Love, no, go back. Okay. I just want to do live instead of love. Love. And again, so if you look at the hashtag love, there's just too many. There's just too many. Love my G-H-T-E-R. I might just do that, right? Dotty? No. Daughter. But again, it's going to give me all these different choices of what I can choose from in my hashtags, right? I can decide whether a lot, whatever that's already being used, or I can create my own if I so choose, just to have it stand out more. So I'm going to go with that one. I'm going to say on the top right-hand corner, okay. And the next thing, I could tag her in it if I wanted to. So if I just put it and tap on her and she comes up here, or I can put in the @ sign and do that, but I will just click that. So now she's been tagged in this picture, and I'm going to say done on the tagging. And the next one is location. And I highly recommend that you really try to, as much as possible, do a location. I do Boulder, Colorado a lot in mine, because now this one, because I was in San Diego, it's odd. I was actually in Pacific Beach. It's coming up. It will automatically come up where the picture was taken, but then you can just click that little arrow on add location. It's going to show you what it is, and I'm going to, well, I'll just put Pacific Beach, or I could type in Boulder, Colorado if I want to. And it's just important, because if people are looking up that city name, your post is going to fall into that. So that's why I highly recommend, as much as possible, to use that. I can just cancel that. But I'm just going to go with Pacific Beach. Click on that, and then here's where I can, if I wanted to, I could just click this here and have it go over to my Twitter feed and my Facebook business page because it's connected to my Facebook business page, which we have already talked about. And it depends. Like on this, because it's a little bit more personal, I'm really not going to do it on Twitter. If it was more of a quote or something else more business oriented, I would put it over to my business Facebook page and my Twitter page. But because it's a little bit more personal, I'm not going to. And then I look at it and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click the share up at the top right hand, and it's posting, right? So voila, it's live in person there. And look at, she just posted something at the same time. That is crazy. So it should come right up to the top of your feed. But if other people are posting at the same time, like all these people were just posting around the same time, it's fallen way down in the feed already. That's amazing. In my own personal feed, let me just say that. But if I go back to my home page, there it is right there. And I can see it here. And again, then I can go in. These little 3 dots right here, if I type something wrong or I really didn't want to do it, I could edit it. If I wanted to change it, I could delete it. So I could edit, delete it. I could share it with somebody else. I could, do a lot of different things. But I'm just going to leave it. And if I wanted to promote it, I'm not going to get into this right now because we have like 6 minutes to go and I want to be cognizant of everyone's time. You can click here. Mimi's asking the question, is it possible to post from your laptop versus your phone? It is, Mimi. You can definitely go to Instagram.com and do it from your phone. I would just say it's not as robust as doing it on your phone. There's just something better about the phone, and you tend to be with it more if it's on your phone than on your laptop. I have just found, and my laptop is with me a lot. So you can go to Instagram.com for sure. All right, so that is very quickly a post, but let me, before we've got just a few more minutes, I want to go over to this little heart down here. And this is all the people who have commented or liked your stuff. So this is in real time. So the last person that liked something of mine, or I liked somebody else's 49 minutes ago. How did I do that? Magic. It's all magic. I could have timed it, or pre-timed it, that kind of thing. But here's other things that, and then I can see my post. So somebody just liked this post that I did an hour ago. I can click onto that picture if I want and see what else is going on with that picture, if anything else. But that is really where you see any activity that's going on in your feed. If somebody else just started following you, you can see that. And you could actually, if I see that this, one of these people started following me, I can look at that and go, Mile High +1. I can click on their name right here. I would always do that before following someone and see if it's somebody that I want to follow or not. And if I do, I could just follow them back. And so it's somebody in Denver here locally, so I'm going to go ahead and just follow back. And I followed them. I could now send them a direct message, which we haven't even got into direct message, which is another really important piece of reaching out to someone one-on-one. But if I wanted to do that, I could just click the message, and here's what comes up, and I could say to her, thanks for following me. I will follow you too. Too. Do my token little heart, and sometimes I like to use that little thing. Kind of looks like me a little bit. My little. All right, so I would send that to her. Right, just real time. I just did that. So so that is some of the power within that. We have just about 3 minutes left, and I want to be cognizant, like I said, of everyone's time. I know that I've gone over a lot, and there's so much more to do. The curating we talked about a little bit, and sharing. in your handout, one of the things that I talk about, there's a program called Later. If you go to Later, later.com, they have all kinds of Instagram tips. It's just one of my big tips for the day is to go there. The other one, if for creating pictures, there's a program called Canva, Canva, and they actually have Instagram. Like if you have a picture but you want to put cool stuff over the picture, you can do that in Canva. And that is really a cool tool to use as well. Just looking through my notes here. I think that is about the handout is, other than the Instagram setup, that is, if you go to step number, Robert, if you go to step 4 or 5, there is, of the setup, there is this handout, this worksheet that I've been working off today that I think will be very helpful. You know, I want everyone to know that you can, let me just move this phone over a little bit and see if I can get my screen back. I'm gonna stop sharing. See what happens. Move this down, and I just want to stop sharing. See if I can answer any other questions, or just kind of give you some next steps forward, right? Because like I said, there is a lot here. Can you guys still see my screen? This is just active.
Nope, it's not showing.
Is it showing the PowerPoint at all?
Nope.
No. Nope. All right, it's blank. Let me see if I can get that back up really quick here in the last couple of minutes. All right, can you guys
see? And we have the rectangle.
And the rectangle is there, so I'm going to get rid of that. Hold on, guys, 1 second, and I'll just share a couple of quick other things with you, and that will be gone. All right, so let me just get to my last screen here. Okay, so again, if you go to thevictorycircles.com/Instagram setup, that will give you this worksheet. The tidbits, I heard Canva, but what was the first one? The first one is called Later, Later. Later.com, and they do a lot of great Instagram tips. I'm learning from them all the time. And just again, if you can get a 20-something around you, that's great. What I would ask of you is what I shared a lot, but what's one thing I always like to ask this in my webinars that you're going to commit to? If anybody would be so inclined to just email that to me, Sherry at businessvictories.com, and Sherry is Cheri. I would greatly appreciate it because it helps me to know what resonated the most with you today. I also want to share that I do marketing clarity sessions. So if you just wanted to do an hour session with me, you can find that information over on the Instagram setup as well. The victory letter is that there's a sign up for on that page too, which brings other workshops that we're doing, etc., including the one that and maybe Kaylee, you could put the link for the workshop in June up on the chat, just a hot link to that, we're doing in person in Windsor. It's Social Media Essentials, so we're going to talk about and the ROI for social media, so digging deeper into that piece of it. Follow me on Victory Girl. I'd love to see you. Say hi. Let me know you're in the class. Love to check out what you're doing and give feedback if you would like feedback. I'm always happy to do that. Just reach out to me and we can do that. Kaylee,
so Lisa, before we start closing out, Lisa had asked if you can schedule posts on Instagram, which to my knowledge, I haven't done that in my experience.
You can you can't do it directly in Instagram, but it's one of the things with that program Later that I was mentioning at later.com. It's one of the things they do is that you can program your posts through Later, and they actually have a free version, and I think there's a very cost-effective cost version of it. But here's what I will tell you about scheduling your posts. Be careful on any platform, only because you don't want it to be kind of an out of sight, out of mind. Oh, great, I just scheduled all my posts for the week. I am done with social media. Remember, you need to be engaging to get that full engagement that you really want, that's going to really give you, the ROI that we're talking about on the social media. And yes, Robert, Later is exactly like Hootsuite. They just focus on Instagram. It's a scheduler, just like Hootsuite is. And again, use your schedules carefully, but make sure who's ever running the scheduler, whether it's you or someone on your team, that they are doing the engagement piece too. They're not just posting only. You're not going to get very far with social media if you're just posting. You're not doing the engagement piece. So I'd love to hear from you guys, and appreciate your time here today. I know this has been a long one, a lot of information shared. And Kaylee, I will hand it back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again to Sherry. As I had mentioned, we do a handful of events with Sherry every year, both online and in person. The next one, the link for that is in the chat for June 7th in Windsor, Colorado. Some other upcoming webinars we have coming up are on May 31st. We have an HR webinar coming up, but otherwise, please feel free to check out our website for upcoming events. As I had mentioned in my last email, I will send out the recording link as well as some other helpful links as soon as I get those. You will be getting a survey from us in your email. Please take the time to fill that out if you can, and let us know any other topics you'd like to see in the future. And again, thanks to Sherry.
Thanks, everybody. Have fun on Instagram. It's awesome. Take care. Bye-bye.